evening to deliver a talk, and I was given a very less time. That was only for a few seconds or probably 1 minute. It was late evening. What topic should I be talking on? I don't know. I mean, I was like confused. Like, kya bolu main? Suddenly, I was. I came back from my office, and suddenly someone is asking me to think, and a lot of things on my mind, a lot of things on my head. Kya bolu main? So the first thought came कि जब कुछ नहीं मिलता, जब कुछ समझ में नहीं आता, तो इंट्यूशन को बोलने दिया जाए. So मैंने कहा अगर इंट्यूशन को बोलने दिया जाए तो let's talk on intuition also. So we will talk on power of intuition today, and not only we're going to talk about power of intuition. This is a topic so vast and so deep, and I cannot finish it in this 45 to 50 minutes, as you might think about. But yet I will try to do some justice about this very topic. And a lot of people, in fact, if I see Shabana and other people here, they must have heard the word called intuition. So now we have only few people. Can you just shout out and share in one word? आपको क्या लगता है इंट्यूशन क्या चीज है? इंट्यूशन क्या होती क्या है? आपके वर्ड में, आपके एक्सपीरियंस में, what do you think intuition is?
Can I say something?
Yeah, please go ahead. That's why I'm asking.
Maybe asking yourself, knowing your gut feeling, or based on your experiences, is just a thought that gives you confidence in whatever comes out from there. You trust in your inner self. Yeah.
Gut feeling. Speaking from gut feeling, right? अरे मुझे लग रहा है कि something is not good here, and you speak from gut. I have gut feeling. Okay, good, very good. Who else? और बताइए क्या लगता है आपको? इंट्यूशन का नाम सुनते हैं तो क्या क्या thought आता है? मतलब what is the first thought that comes to mind? One thought is gut feeling. Okay, this is gut feeling.
Maybe sixth sense. You know, you know that what you're doing is right, or this is what you should do. Although the situation may be different, but you trust in your base, maybe on your experiences or whatever it is. But you have confidence in whatever you are deciding on.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, good. That's good. That was the first thought that came to you. That's what you shared. और कोई बताएगा क्या? I mean, because I'm using mobile, I cannot see who are there. Either you can come on camera or you can share your name. Who is speaking? कौन बोल रहा था अभी?
All right.
Who was that? Who spoke?
I was Dr. Anjali.
Dr. Anjali.
From Malaysia.
Cool. Thank you, Dr. Anjali. I'm sorry, I'm just repeating.
No, it's okay. I'm also on my iPad. Yeah.
Good. So, Dr. Anjali, thank you. Who else? नीलम जी, आप sorry, नीलम कह रहा हूँ. मीना जी, आप बताइए, आपको क्या लगता है कि इंट्यूशन क्या बला है ये? चैट पे भी लिख सकते हैं इंट्यूशन वन वर्ड में क्या इंट्यूशन है.
सर, फीलिंग ऑफ बैड और गुड पहले से आपको लगता है कि नहीं ये चीज सही नहीं है, शायद वही होगा. हाँ,
पहले से लग जाता है कि कुछ होने वाला है. You know, मदर्स को बहुत जबरदस्त इंट्यूशन होती है कि उसका बेटा क्या कर रहा है. How many of you have experienced? How many of you are here mothers? कौन हुआ यहाँ मदर्स है जो बोल सकते हैं? Anybody who are mothers here? No mother here? फादर्स को नहीं होती इंट्यूशन. ऐसा क्यों होता है? मतलब why this so happens that why mothers have more intuition rather than fathers? Okay, good morning, Hanji. I am a mom. Yes, Anjali. How often you feel that you have intuition that your child needs your support? How many times that you feel that? Say yes or no on the chat box or shout out. How many times you feel that you have an intuition that something that needs to be done here? Yeah. the gut feeling. Right? Now, the other question is why intuition is still a misnomer. If it gets quite often, then why it is so misnomer? इतना इसको लोग क्यों बनाया, लोग क्यों हम महसूस करते हैं? मतलब when you go out to the society, we go out to, yes, especially when they are with us, of course, yes. And you come to know whether they're lying or whether they're saying the truth to children. Now, why it so happens, it is such a misnomer word called intuition. हम लोग इसको इतना हल्के में लेते हैं. मैं कह रहा हूँ, I'm not saying that you don't believe in intuition. You all believe in intuition somewhere and somewhere. But when you go out of the world, when you work, when you do a lot of other things in life, it becomes a kind of misnomer. You don't weigh that too much. आप उसको इतना तजव्वुर नहीं देते हैं जब भी इंट्यूशन आती है, और हम इसको ज्यादा बात नहीं करते. Now, if I have to share, I mean, you can take some cues from this. I mean, I have to share about my own life. When I joined, or when I started my career as a trainer, at the initial stages, I used to look a lot of material, a lot of content. I used to attend a lot of workshops to understand how I can fit myself as a trainer and a coach. I got myself certified many times. But बार बार ना एक striving होता था कि मुझे कुछ सीखना है. I have to learn this, learn this. I was never ever confident that I can deliver something. Of course, I was delivering good, but each time I used to deliver, I always had the feeling that I need to do best. I need to do better. So there was a constant striving. And the moment it left that striving, I allowed my intuition to go ahead. And what I do in all my trainings, whether it is a small training or a big training or a talk like this, I only have three things in my mind. One is the opening, second is the middle, and third is the end. And rest, I allow my thoughts to come, and I just gather those thoughts and make notes if I have to do, and then deliver a talk based on the context. Now, I experienced this many times that whenever I have to speak on a topic, whatever I prepare, whatever I understand, whatever research I have done, it is only 20% that I actually go ahead and deliver it. But when I trigger my intuition, I get a lot of ideas to talk to. I have a lot of understanding, a lot of wisdom that comes my way, and then I go ahead and quote various examples of my life as well. Now, where did it come from? That is the key question. And I don't want you to just judge it right now, but I'm going to give you a lot of examples. Now, there was a situation, it was a very difficult situation to remember, but I still will share it. It was my cousin about 5 or 6 years ago, prior to COVID. And she was dealing with cancer. She got recovered once, but the cancer got relapsed and she was in a hospital. And I was there. I was there with her. But I was not allowed because she was in ICU and she was on ventilator. And I asked what is happening. The doctor said there are two types of ventilator. One is the major, second is the minor. So she's on the minor one. So I was fine. She was going to be fine. वो हो जाएगी ठीक. But when I actually went ahead and just saw her and met her, she was looking in pain. And she just waved me. Vinay, मेरे साथ please बैठ जा. She just waved me and asked me, why don't you sit down here? And the first gut thought came to my mind, I should sit with her and embrace her. But the second thought came to my mind, okay, she is on medication, maybe मेरे होने से उसको infection ना हो जाए. I did not do it, but there was an inner voice which just keep on haunting me. I should definitely go ahead and just meet her once and talk to her or even embrace her, no matter what. मैं चला गया, but there was a voice which kept on telling me. And when I was away, I got that sad news that she is no more. Now, had I listened to my intuition, I would have felt completed and I would have embraced her. And that thought is still there in my mind why I did not, embrace her. And she was actually saying to me that, come and embrace me and sit here. There was another incident where um, it was during the COVID times. My brother-in-law was in a bad situation, and there was a hurry of medications and lot of stuff. There was first thought that came to my mind that I should go ahead and get some kind of medication for my brother-in-law. But there were a lot of people around who were making decisions whether he should go with that medication or not going with that medication. Uh, but then there was another voice which was telling me, go ahead, when I take a decision on their behalf. But I was not doing it because I was relying on other people's logics to get into that medication. The very next day, I got that differently. Now, these are very sad incidents, but they were very happy moments. When I listened to my intuition, I got tremendous success in my life. I mean, suddenly, I was doing something on my work, and the thought came to my mind to call this person. I don't know what came to my mind. A name flashed in my head that I had to call this person. And when I called that person, he got, and in my conversation, I got some different ideas, and then we met, I closed a deal. And when I closed a deal, because he gave me a reference of business consulting assignment, and we closed a deal. Now, that was not planned. That was not that, I had to go to the LinkedIn and go to lead generation, so on and so forth, all the funneling part. I did not do it. But how did it happen? It was just a matter of intuition that, I sensed that I go ahead and just talk to that person. That person can give me. There was another incident where I was wanting to get money, but there was one person who was not paying for my services, and I suddenly uh, found out one person who can connect me with that person, and I can get my money. And now I won't talk about it now. I mean, I immediately just rang that person up and found out ways that how can I recover money, and I could recover 50% of that money. That was again intuition working for me. And there was another incident where I actually was struggling with my health, and suddenly, I got a thought that I must visit that wellness center. And suddenly that thought flashed on my head, and I went ahead to the wellness center, and I got many tests done, and I got into the path of recovery. Now, why I'm sharing why I'm sharing that, why? Because I've seen in my life that there, there are some rational decisions that I've done and made, and I became very successful in that. But I could not understand what was the logic behind certain thought that just flashed on my head. And when I took a call and I took a decision. Now, our rational mind and our intuitive mind is often in a kind of conflict. And there is a book by Mel Robbins in her book, and the topic called 5 seconds rule. She mentioned very clearly, whenever a thought comes to you to act on something, go ahead and do it in 5 seconds. And when you don't do it, it will get lost. And I've taken many decisions in my life which were coming from the space of intuition. Now, there has always been a conflict about rationality of making decisions, of going by your guts and take a call. I'm not saying just go ahead and take a call from just mere gut, but acting upon what is happening to you, what thought that has come for you, and taking action around it, and then Then do the analysis part and then do all this thing. But the first thing is, yes, it has come from intuition. Let me analyze it. Let me go ahead and take the first action. Maybe it is an analysis action, maybe taking a phone call and taking an action. Now, how many of you are doing journaling here? यहाँ बहुत लोग होंगे जो संदीप ने जर्नलिंग के असाइनमेंट्स के बारे में बात किया होगा, तो वो they must be doing those journaling part. But when you do journaling, now what happens when you write all those emotions, when you do journaling, and what happens? Your mind becomes empty. All the emotions that is there overwhelming your mind, it becomes empty, and suddenly you get access to the different power. And what happens when you do meditation? Food does a lot of meditation, the frequency, the high frequency. Now what happens? Your mind becomes empty at that point in time, and then you access to the bigger intelligence. Now, intuition is the realm of the bigger and huge intelligence. Now we don't do that often. We don't work on those often. That is why we don't believe that intuition is very logical. And there are people who operate from feelings find it very easy to operate from intuition, but there are people who will first want to know the facts, then only they will take a decision. Those people find very, very difficult to access that intuition. Now, I'm not saying that you should not get to the facts, don't become judgmental, but also understand that there is much higher realm which is going beyond what your logical interpretations of your mind is. Now, I'm not going to just speak on and on and on. I'm going to just share a few more incidents, and also want to give you another context to understand what this intuition is. Now, many times when we are stuck in a problem, whenever we don't find any solutions, when we are sitting with friends or when we're sitting with family members and there's a problem that has come, many times, and we get to various aspects, various facts, data that come to you, and you want to try to solve the problem, but the problem doesn't get solved. Now, there's one person who says, okay, ये problem solve होने का ही नहीं है, छोड़ो उसको, leave it. But the other person says, it is good that we discussed about this problem. Let us see what solution can come later. And suddenly there is a flash in the head of one person. The person just gives up. Okay, can we try that? And that works. So I'm not saying that always and always just sit and just see what intuition is all about. I'm only going to work. मैं तभी काम करूंगा जब मेरी feeling होगी काम करने की. Look, that is another mistake that people do when they are more intuitive and feeling oriented. They will say, I don't feel like doing it. That is why I'm not going to act upon it. मेरे को feeling नहीं चाहिए. Look, the feeling is not the intuition that I'm talking about. Your feeling still can come from mind, from your logical mind. You know how? Because you had some experiences in the past with some persons, let's say, and the person has always been shouting, the person always has been, judgmental about you, always get angry at the drop of the hat. And the moment you encounter that person again, you got a very different tingy feeling. Oh, this person scares me. And then you say, okay, my intuition says that this person cannot be a supportive person. Now, I'm not talking of that perspective to be called as intuition, because that is not intuition. So what intuition is, when you really understand that whenever you are to say something, whenever you have to deliver something, or whenever you have to take a decision on something, the first parameter is, am I coming from a past experiences, or there is another strong thought that has come, let me try with that person. Let me try and see how I think. In the business decisions also, जब आपको बहुत सारे business decisions लेने होते हैं, तब भी हम लोग अपने पास्ट बिलीफ से ऑपरेट करते हैं, अरे ऐसा नहीं हुआ था पास्ट में, तो अब ऐसा नहीं होगा, आगे भी ऐसा नहीं होगा. Then we basically stop innovation. So when we allow a new thought to come to us, a new thought, and then we understand how this thought can be acted upon, can be worked upon, can be experimented upon, and then that can lead to innovation. Now, I'm giving you very, very different perspectives in all our lives. You know, what happens, what is the power of intuition. But how many of you operate more than 60% of the time from the word called intuition? How many of you are logical? Just put in the chat box. And how many of you operate from intuition? I can, look, yeah, please go ahead.
Energy, I use both
Hmm.
intuition and
You
logic.
use both. Okay. Okay, good. So I'm asking the percentage part. So more than 60%. How many of
Yeah.
you here more than doing work from intuition more than 60%? If you ask me, I'm a highly intuitive person. Most of my decisions or the actions that I do, you know, are
I
from
follow my heart also.
70%. You follow your heart. Good, very good. Good. Now, when I'm sharing these kind of things, is there anything that anybody has to share or talk about, or what is opening up for you? What is that you want to share from your own experiences? I will let you know how can you access more about it, more from the intuition. But आपको कुछ thought है, conflicting thought है, या कुछ share करनी है आपको, आप सुन रहे हो बहुत देर से? Because I feel like when I speak a lot for more than 10 to 15 minutes, I feel like, you know, I'm at a place where I'm doing some kind of gospels and people are just listening to my talk. I'm not reached to that stage. I mean, where I can do gospel. Logic mostly, also intuition. And Sanju, when you say that, कि mostly intuition होता है, तो can you share your experiences with intuition? When was the last time you followed your intuition and you moved ahead and took a decision around that?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I like on a day-to-day basis, I don't follow any like logical method to go about my day. I just do things the way I feel I need to do something, then I just do it. I don't logically assess, that I need to do this most of the time. I do some little bit of that, but mostly it's just I do what I feel is necessary. I feel it is obvious so what I need to do, so I just do it. I don't
Yes,
think about it, analyze it
yes,
that way. But
yes,
having said that, certain times I do think about, in situations I do later on I think about it and try to analyze things like, deeply. But that's that is a different thing. But generally in
yeah.
life, I go about doing things like that. The other day, I was passing by. Uh, I was going to a restaurant. I mean, with my mom, walking with my
Hmm.
mom, and someone came with a basket of mangoes, and I just went
Hmm.
and bought it. My mother was saying, "How can you buy it? You're just outside somewhere, anywhere. That's it will most probably be bad."
Hmm.
But I don't know. I just looked at it for a few seconds and I just bought it. And it turned out to be
Yes,
a good thing.
yeah, yeah. That's where you listen to the
I
intuition,
thought it
because
was
there is
luck.
voice
Uh,
is always there. Yeah. Great. So I'm not suggesting that you should not listen to intuition and don't do the logical analysis at all. But there is a voice which keeps talking to you. So my invitation to everyone is listen to that voice also. Dr. Anjali, what really happens? Why we are not very confident? Because there are a lot of experiences that we had in our lives around certain situations. And that is why we get scared to move out from the logical space to the intuitive space.
Vinay, please excuse me for some time. I have to attend to my dad.
Sorry?
Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, he is just attending the cab, so he will be back.
Acha, okay, cool. So now, Dr. Anjali, why we are not confident? Because we have not tried, we have not experimented. Now, all those people who get scared or are not confident to take decisions from intuition, I want to give you one hack. And the hack is, whenever your phone rings, don't just pick up the phone call and take out the phone from your pocket or from your wallet or purse and just start talking and just start seeing who the person is. Just from your intuition, just try and find out who the person can be who is calling me right now. And you would not believe it that as you practice more and more, your percentage and probability of understanding who the person can be becomes a right one. In my case, more than 90% of the time, when I get a call, I bet with the family also. When I get that person has called. And I get surprised, how can you do that? Because it's not that it happened one day. I practiced it several times. So my hack is that when you can start doing it. Let's say there's a doorbell ringing outside. And before you just go ahead and start, open the door and try to find out who the person is from peeping the door. अंदर से देखना, पूछना अंदर से कि कौन हो सकता है, and experiment it. Maybe you're wrong or right, but just experiment and then give power to your intuition. Okay, that person could be there at that point in time, and you'll be surprised at the results when you practice more and more. So try listening to the intuition, and the hack that I'm talking about, it really works. Now the other thing I want to talk about it, whenever you have an intuition and there is a low risk associated with that intuition and action, go ahead and act immediately within 5 seconds. So whenever you have an intuition that you got to call that person, don't wait, because there is no risk associated with that. Right? I'm not saying that, go to the surgery room and work from an intuition. I'm not saying that, because that involves a lot of risk. So whenever you have less risk at certain situations, when you have to call the person or you have to give your opinion to the person, or when you have to even what you got to eat at that point in time, just before eating, just sit down to yourself and listen to your intuition. Of course, you say your body speaks to you, that's fine, but actually your intuition speaks that I skip my food for some time. Now, I gave you one. I shared my experiences once. What happened? It was like 11:30 or 11:45 in the middle of the night, and there was some good food out there. I was feeling very hungry, and suddenly a thought came to mind. अभी छोड़ देते हैं, अभी खाना नहीं खाते. बहुत late हो गया, खाना नहीं खाते. And I just dropped that food there.
What did you take my phone? Yeah.
I got a call from a friend. Vinay, where are you? I'm outside your gate. Map. I was coming to your place. I want to give you a surprise. I'm outside your gate. Where are you? And those are the times there was no Zomato, there was no Swiggy, there was no kitchen outside. And he came to my house, and I wondered, how that message came to me, and I actually was able to serve him because he was very hungry. And had I eaten that food, there was no food left for him. So I remember those instances very, 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 very carefully. So similarly, whenever you can try it with yourself, before you act, before you do anything or pass on any judgment, just sit with yourself for a while and listen to what your heart says, and then take an action after some time. But do take an action. So many times it doesn't sound logical, but yes, you can take out few areas where there is no risk at all, where there is less risk involved. Go ahead and take a decision. many times I listen to my intuition about few decisions that I've done about buying a space or renting a space or for my work. So I experimented on a few occasions and I found it very, very interesting. I that many times I got an idea. Okay, why I have to buy or rent a space? Why can't I go ahead and experiment with the various other co-working spaces that they do that. So I'm just sharing working on it. The access for you is when you are operating from the logical and rational approach. I'm not saying that approach is bad or good. That has their own plus and advantages, and but what my invitation to you is, when you move beyond that space of logics and interpretations, logic and intellect, there's a huge possibility out there beyond your mind experiences and your logical space. They can access abundance. So that's where my invitation to everyone out there. All right. So, okay.
Coach, I just want to share with you, but recently, like I have this intuition about connecting with people which I haven't talked to for a long time and all that. And sometimes you do call, but sometimes I don't follow up. And suddenly, after you hear something happening to them or they're no more around, and then you have that sense of regret. Even let's say FB friends who want to be friends, I'm a little bit particular about who I add as friends. And then you feel guilty. Somebody has just asked you for a request, and 3 days later, the person is no more in this world. And
yes.
So I don't like this area of intuition I'm getting into. So I prefer to just block it up because it's like 6 or 7 out of 10 is not good, So
yeah. So
if getting money or something, I don't mind intuition, buying lottery or what. But instead of intuition, I think I don't want to develop that area.
Yeah. So because there's a scary word around there, because there is a fear that if I get into this word of intuition, I will feel later. But the other that, what if you just follow that for some time and feel and share your experiences, feel your new experiences. Maybe you will feel guilty 20% of the time, but you will feel elated 80% of the time. So I'm not saying that you should go ahead and do it. It's your choice, whether you want to be logical or whether you want to be intuitive. But let's say, if you feel complete, if you feel confident, and try it at smaller areas of your activity. I mean, you don't have to, do or practice intuition on the larger canvas. Try where you have low risk, like where you cannot feel guilty about. For example, when a phone bell rings on your mobile, and you just try and just think in your mind, okay, which is this phone call from? Who is calling? And you are right. That's how you can try getting into this world. And slowly you will develop a muscle and find confident about it. And you're confident only then get into this different word and call it a new person. So it's up to us to make a choice what to do or what not to do. But thanks for asking this question. Yes, thank you. Who else? The difference between sensing versus intuition. Uday, that's a very good question. There is practically, if you ask me, there is no difference. But yes, there is still a difference because sensing still comes with facts and data. So sensing is backed by facts and data. Now, sensing is in the middle of rational approach and intuitive approach. You facts or data से भी वो operates करते हैं sensing. There are a lot of sensing interviews I do for corporates when I ask various questions and collect all those facts. But I also sense the way the person is responding. I sense the person is lying to me. I sense the person is scared. I sense the person is motivated to answer this question. For example, a lot many times when I do sensing interviews with the corporates or with the head of the department of the sales or accounts, so they say, everything is working as perfectly fine here, and there's no problem here. Again, the data that he shows also says there's no problem, but the way he is saying, makes me feel curious to know more about what the person is saying. That is sensing how I'm actually catching the person's thoughts or my own thought. I'm sensing that I'm right, but that again, sensing comes from the fact and data. But intuition is pure intuition, completely unconditional, out of the way. People get scared because people will relate it to the sixth sense, extra sensory power. You know, a lot of tarot readers use this intuition to give you various suggestions, and we follow those suggestions and act upon those lives. So there's nothing wrong here. So my invitation to you is to try small and sense and check with yourself whether this works for you or not. So not just jump into the big game, but sense. Yes. I hope I've answered your question, Uday. मैंने आपके सवाल का जवाब
Vinay, can I ask something?
Yeah, please go ahead. Who is this? I cannot see you
Sanju.
because Sanju, yes, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So I have this wonder. I'm just wondering whether I did the right thing about certain things. Like, earlier last year, I would look at certain products on the internet and then I would just buy them. I would feel so compelled to, because it seems so valuable that I would buy. And then I bought quite a few of that products, different ones. But again, information. But I'm not sure now whether I should have done that in retrospect. I should have been maybe more careful. I should have thought maybe of my money not being, how much conservation now, conserve my money, and I should not have taken on too much,
Yeah.
So that feeling is there. So I wonder whether it was wrong for me to listen to myself, just go ahead without thinking too much and, buy the stuff which I bought.
So that's a good question. So I'm not saying intuition when it comes, that does not involve thinking. That is the first perspective. The second is there are certain habits that we have. We are impulsive buyers, we are impulsive decision makers. So that is a habit, and that comes from our past programming and past experiences. That when we delay something, we might lose out something. So that is a habit, And again,
fear of missing out.
Yeah, fear of missing out. Yeah, and all of those advertisers on the e-commerce sites knows our habit, know those the people's habit, and they know who are impulsive. They have every data around it, right? And that's how you take a decision, because you come from a space of habit. You come from the space of your old patterns. You come from the space of fears. So that is not intuition. That is not intuition. However, when you are buying these things impulsively time and again, at one point in time you will stop yourself, and there is a voice telling you, look, Sanju, this is impulsive. And that is where, when you listen, then the logical man says, oh, come on, what are you talking? I may miss out this opportunity. I may miss out this opportunity. I used to do it several times, and I used to learn a lot from various mentors. So every other teacher, every other product seller, program seller, I used to get influenced that person. Okay, यार ये बंदा मुझे ना कुछ अच्छी चीज बताने वाला है, मैं उसका प्रोडक्ट खरीद लेता हूँ. 10,000 का लिया, 20 का लिया, 5,000 का लिया, अरे कोई बात नहीं, कोचिंग का प्रोडक्ट ले लेता हूँ. Later I realized, why am I doing it? Because deep down I have a thought in my mind that I have not enough. I'm not good enough. That is why I have to learn more and more and more from different people. That is how I spend a lot of money in my trainings and coaching. But that is not intuition. There was one intuitive thought which actually gave me an idea. Vinay, you are enough to whole and complete, and then take a decision from that. There is a difference. There is a minor difference between impulsivity, your old habits, your patterned thinking, and the intuition. The pattern thinking can be impulsive thinking. Impulsive thinking cannot be the intuitive thinking. Am I making some sense to
Hmm.
you, Sanjay?
Yeah, but see, the habit wise, I'm usually very careful,
Correct.
about buying things and all that. And yet,
Yeah,
when I
that's
see
the
that there is a lot of value, I feel
yeah,
there's a lot of value out there, then I feel that I should buy it. I should spend some time.
yeah,
It's more knowledge
yeah,
and
yeah,
all that.
yeah. So there are two extremes to it. I'm so
Yeah.
careful. I'm so careful that I may not make a bad decision. But suddenly some catchy advertisement come my way, and that looks so catchy. I've been very careful. Those were not very catchy the earlier advertisements were not that catchy. But this one looks very catchy. This one looks very, very valuable. Now, that is a rational thinking that you got to do. You have to analyze deeply how this is of value for me. I mean, can you list out the points? One, two, three. What does it fit in my scheme of things? Does it fit into my value proposition? Does it fit to my goals? Take a good check out of that, analyze it, greatly, and then take a decision. And that's a rational decision. Because you have a fear that I got to be careful, then you have to be rational about it. What I am suggesting to you is something beyond it. That inner voice which stops you to take rash decisions. That inner voice that propels you to take better decisions. That inner voice which is completely unconditional. How you judge that is inner voice because it's completely unconditional. It's just coming out of the way. कहीं से भी आ गए वो. Not from the space of careful, fear,
Hmm.
obsession. No. When it's coming from that space, that is not inner voice.
Okay. Right.
Right? So in a
Right.
short span of time, I could explain this much only because I also actually got the time. Okay, but
Right.
it was a
Right.
great question. That's a great question. We often land into that space where we wrongly understand intuition with our old habits and with our pattern thinking, with our fears, with our tendencies, with our aspirations. So when you are playing in the mind, there is no intuition to work, even though it looks like that. The intuition is completely unconditional,
Hmm. Right.
right? So I'm giving one more
Sounds good.
example because yeah, good. I just one last example. I just reiterated when I shared the examples of my cousin sister. So
Hmm.
the intuition was out of the way telling me to sit with her, but I was so scared that I might not pass
Might
on
not.
the infection. That I did not sit
I
with her.
couldn't hear that. I
Sorry.
couldn't hear that. You broke up.
Okay. I shared the story of my sister earlier. So when she
Huh.
was struggling, and she actually waved me to sit with me,
Huh.
but I I listened to my fear that I might not pass the infection when I'm sitting in the hospital in the ICU. I
Mm-hmm.
should not sit
Yeah.
close to her,
Right.
and I made a decision out of my rational thought, out of my fear,
Hmm.
and I was quite logical in it. I was quite justified in my approach. But later on, I realized that had I listened to the intuition and sat with her, I would have felt complete.
Yeah.
And I was
Right.
anyways not passing on any infection. Doctors allowed us to be there. And it had passed on infection. My doctors have allowed me to sit into her room. That is where, our fear stops us, our belief stops us to take right kind of decision.
Hmm.
Okay, what's the time
Right.
right now? I cannot see the time right now. Shabana, can you help me with
8:49.
the time? 8:49.
8:50.
Cool. 8:50. Good. So anybody has final takeaways to share or final questions that you have for next 5 minutes. I'm happy to answer those questions. I've
How do
not
you
used the
develop
present.
intuition?
Okay.
Sorry, I was missed out.
One way to develop
By
intuition
doing
is to keep attending consciously positive programs. And there's another event which is happening in the month of June, which is a spiritual festival. So do attend those programs consistently by Mevin. I'm just promoting Mevin. That's one way. Second is do a lot of meditation. And third is the practice of mindfulness, which is whenever you have to do certain things, just stop at that point in time. Notice your feelings and mind and body, and then act. Take a 5 minutes pause and then act. Okay.
Right.
So there are various ways to develop intuition. I gave you one hack also. Whenever you are receiving a phone, before you receive that call, just wait for a while and just just think that who that person can be. कौन हो सकता है वो person? और देखो कि how correct are you and how wrong are you, and that's how you can consistently practice your intuition. You allow the intuition or inner voice to come to you, but those should be very small, simple steps, because not many times you feel very bad, as Dr. Anjali also shared that I don't know whether it was Dr. Anjali or someone else. So it gets very scary at times getting to that mode of intuition. But my invitation to everyone here is just try and do the smaller steps. Maybe meditation, maybe attending these conscious positive programs. Do that.
Right. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sanju, for being so participative and asking questions that can help everyone. Anybody has any other thing to share? The last thing, then we will write down.
हेलो
Yes.
हाँ सर, मतलब ऐसा भी है क्या कुछ गुड इंस्टीट्यूशन या बैड इंस्टीट्यूशन, ऐसा भी कुछ रहता है?
नहीं, ऐसे कुछ नहीं होता. गुड इंट्यूशन, बैड इंट्यूशन कुछ नहीं होता. इंट्यूशन होती है, हाँ, हमारे माइंड उसको इंटरप्रेट करता है. ये तो बैड इंट्यूशन हुई, मेरे को मैसेज आया. किसी को प्रेमोनिशंस होते हैं, किसी को पता चलता है कुछ बुरा होने वाला है.
So Vinay, my takeaway.
Yeah, please go ahead. One second. Uday, have I answered your question? One second. Uday, have I answered your question? Uday, मैंने आपकी बात का सही आपको जवाब मिला क्या?
हाँ, नहीं, ये एक्सपीरियंस से आता है ऐसा या जेनेटिक रहता है?
Okay. Go ahead, Rajbir.
Vinay.
Okay, you were asking for final takeaway, right?
Yeah, please go.
Okay, my takeaway as a trainer, as a trainer in general, trainer with Mavin is, we have to overcome, believe and conquer our obstacles and follow our heart. Not follow our mind, but follow our heart. Heart means, in other words, is intuition. So,
Charita.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, yeah, good that you got it. Follow your heart and got your conviction. Yeah, good. Sanju was saying something. I think
Yeah, sorry. I was asking, like, what do you think is there any difference between instinct and intuition?
It's the same.
What would you say?
It's the same.
same, no?
More or less the same. More or less the same.
Okay. Right. Nice. Good talk.
Good. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Samana, for hosting this. Thank you, everyone, for participating in it. And I